Jackson pirouettes to the left, throws a strike to Ingram. Ducks under one tackler to the 10, to the 5, lunges at the 1. Touchdown, Mark Ingram. T.O.B. Thing of beauty. What a story with Lamar Jackson. MVP favorite? Absolutely, according to Vegas now. It's a big deal. Nestor, my longtime friend, he is the authority on the Ravens, and he has been for over 2 decades. And he joins us. Ness, good to talk to you again. You got to be living the dream, getting a chance to see this guy play at home every couple weeks.
You know, Brick, I'm heading out to L.A. I've never seen a game at the L.A. Memorial Coliseum, so I'm really excited about that because, you know, they didn't play football there for a quarter of a century. And as you know, you're getting it there in Vegas, and the Raiders coming in. I looked at the schedule in 21. The Ravens play in Vegas in 21. So, you know, I'm trying to check these stadiums off, but, man, one game at a time. I mean, we go back 6 weeks ago, and it was what was wrong with the Ravens and what's wrong with the defense and can they get a pass rush and, what are they going to do when someone slows Lamar down or if they kick the ball around. The last 6 weeks have been unbelievable, and we've got purple fever. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, we've had a team for a quarter of a century. The Ravens, while winning 2 Super Bowls, Brick, have never really been number one in any power ranking in November. You know, not that you want to be number one in the power rankings in November, but I think you know this sort of trend, being out in Vegas as you are, you know, that this is the sort of trend that you look at and say, where's the deficiency? Where's the weakness in the Ravens game? How are you going to defeat them? They beat Seattle. They beat New England. They demolished Deshaun Watson over the weekend. And, you know, it's always week to week to me. Pass rush was great last week. Game plans have been great. I think they've been really well coached. I think Eric DeCosta's got to be up for Executive of the Year when you consider Josh Bynes, L.J. Ford, Marcus Peters. Last week they went and got Damata Pekka and Ellis. They have really fortified this team. When injuries have happened, and they've happened with Tony Jefferson and Tavon Young, they've just picked up the slack. Now, offensively, it's all about Lamar, and it's all about the maturation of his game. And really, he's as dialed in as I've seen anyone for being able to week execute a game plan, not turn over the ball, be impeccable in his passing, and really, really good with his decision-making. And I know that everybody says, well, he's going to scramble, he's going to get hit. He's only really been hit once really hard all year. It was last week. He got running out in the middle of the field, and Reed got a hold of him from Houston. But he hasn't been demolished through 10 games, and I know it only takes one, but he's playing the exact way they thought he would play 18 months ago, and everyone here is delighted.
Nestor Aparicio joins us. Tell us about the defenses. What is the calling card of this defense, considering you're great friends with Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs when they played there? You know, I know some of the players. I'm familiar with their names, but what's the key to why this team is now nasty again on defense?
Well, I would say this. The loss in the offseason, they've never had an attrition like they had here, right? I mean, they had the year where Ray and Ed left, you know, after a Super Bowl, right? But Mosley goes and gets the biggest contract in the market with the Jets. Zadarius Smith gets paid with the Green Bay Packers. Eric Weddle, who we'll see out in L.A. this week, and Terrell Suggs left to go play for the Arizona Cardinals. All of that happened literally in 36 hours to the Ravens back in March, and picking up the pieces, signing Earl Thomas after he was injured last year and had his famous gurney middle finger for Pete Carroll and for the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know that it was a perfect fit here initially, and I don't know that things were normal initially. Certainly the linebacking core here, if you go back and look at the September games, just not good enough. And this organization has found ways to augment it. They went and grabbed Josh Bynes, who played in Arizona last year, played in Detroit. He was my guest this week, had a long conversation with him. He was a member of the Super Bowl team here back in 2013 as a puppy. And, you know, when Ray Lewis and those guys were around, he's now come back as the 30-something-year-old grizzled vet to shore up the linebacking core in the middle and to help to make sure everybody's aligned in the right places. The Marcus Peters pickup has been unbelievable. What it's allowed them to do, Brick, is the backside is so strong in getting out and guarding your DeAndre Hopkins and your tight ends and picking up your backs that it's allowed Matt Judon and a couple of young guys. Jalen Ferguson's a guy they drafted this year. Tyus Bowser is a guy they drafted last year. And these were guys that were drafted to pin their ears back and go get the quarterback. And these were guys, much like Zadarius Smith, before, that were on the track to get paid. But as long as Suggs was here, he was going to take those snaps. And without Suggs being here, I think you've seen Matt Judon step in. Not as good at setting the edge on the rush initially. His game has matured over 3-4 years. He's going to get a lot of money, Matthew Judon. Where's number 99? You'll see him running around on Monday night. So they have gotten better with their pass rush because their coverage has been so strong.
Nestor from WNST. Tell us about Mark Ingram and what to expect with him. A lot of running backs break down. A lot of running backs have a short shelf life. Him and his run at Alabama was epic, and now he seems to have found a team that he loves. 667 yards, 8 touchdowns, and when Lamar breaks out and he looks like he's going to hand it off, then he pulls it away from him, and Lamar takes off. When he gives it to Ingram, he's been very productive.
Brick, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I've watched this thing now for a year. I've now watched it for 10 weeks, where it's really gone from last year. And I know I laughed about this. I said it was like the magnetic board game last year. Remember that? When we were kids, we'd get that board game and all the pieces would just go one direction. That's what it looked like last year. This year, it looks like a ballet. It looks like synchronized football. I mean, Greg Roman has this thing working, and to be really honest on Ingram, when he gets the ball, you're almost happy, right? Like if you got a chance of tackling him, you can catch him. You're going to get him to the ground eventually. Lamar, he may take a dig on you and do a ballet step and be gone, and, safeties are trying to catch him. Most guys on the field can't catch him, right? There's only 2 or 3 guys who might be able to get an angle on Lamar. So once he gets to the second level, your linebacker better be in front of him, not behind him. And he better not be 2 feet to the side of him and trying to catch him with the bad geometry, when he's faster than you are. And that's what we've learned with Lamar. Brick, I've told this story the last couple of weeks. We're up in the seats. I sit with all my, my compadres up in Section 513 at the home games. And, we're a good-spirited football group, very knowledgeable. We don't, since all the Yabos got out after the knee a couple years ago, we don't have stupid people yelling stupid stuff in my section. But there was a point where Mark Ingram took a handoff, and if Lamar didn't fake it, maybe Lamar could have gotten 25 yards. Mark Ingram got like 5-6 yards. And we're like in 2nd and 5, right? And we're all like, oh. And I'm like, I'm old enough to remember when 2nd and 5 was a really good down and distance, You got 5 yards on first down. You felt really good about yourself. That's disappointing for the 2000. 5 yards on first down, it's like, what did we do wrong? We're not in 2nd and 2. We're not in 2nd and 1. And Brick, unlike anything I've ever seen in the history of football, and I've been watching this a long time, I've never seen a team dominate on down and distance. They win first down most of the time, and when they lose, they're only getting 5 yards, not 8.
Nestor Aparicio, as we wrap it up. Now, big picture question, Baltimore, where you live. When we go back to Kaepernick, social injustice, Steve Biscotti possibly interested, John Harbaugh interested. What was the real story on the Ravens' interest, and now that workout, what happened in Atlanta as they moved it to a high school? Did Kaepernick blow an opportunity when his girlfriend spoke up when it came to Baltimore? And was that the better landing spot for him years ago, which clearly isn't anymore?
Well, I think that was the end, right? And the pig socks didn't go over well, right? I mean, I am on his side, right? I am a Kurt Flood guy. I am a guy who's been blackballed in my own industry, which you're well, aware of. A billionaire, Peter Angelos, took my press pass after 21 years, called me fake news, all of that nonsense. And so, I'm a fighter for social justice, as you well know. I probably sit far left of much of your audience, quite frankly, politically. But when it comes to Kaepernick, he has been his own worst enemy. I would say this, the sham last week of trying to get him to sign a legal form to exonerate the NFL, I mean, it's disgraceful. What they've done to him is disgraceful. But that being said, he has been his own worst enemy. The Ravens were a team that were going to give him a shot. I, my heart of hearts, I honestly believe that he had an opportunity in Baltimore a couple of summers ago, and the girlfriend thing out on Twitter, that's just Steve Bisciotti has been through that with Ray Rice. This organization has been through jurisprudence with Ray Lewis and Jamal Lewis and the court of public opinion with Ray Rice. Steve Bisciotti doesn't want anything, much like a lot of other owners. A backup quarterback's not worth all that. And I think that's the way it would be viewed because of all of the everything that's happened. And I think it's unfortunate all the way around. It's not a good look for anybody, really, not for anybody.
I love music. Michael McDonald's playing with the Doobie Brothers. I like when bands come back together. Our friend Steve Gorman wrote the book on the Black Crowes. It didn't work out. I don't like bands that come out of retirement after a breakup and they can't put the band back together again. Give our audience at night here an interest in music now. Who's the next band you're going to go see?
I'm going to see U2 in Tokyo in 2 weeks, and I'm going to Seoul. I've never been to Seoul. I've been to Tokyo. Honest to God, I got a cheap flight, and Brick, you can appreciate this because you do Raiders work. I had a trip to Buffalo, or I could go to Tokyo on a $400 flight. So I got a cheap flight to Tokyo. I've never been to Seoul. I love everything about food in Asia. I love everything about Asian culture. I'm probably not going to sleep. And the Ravens play the Buffalo Bills at 3 a.m. in Seoul, Korea. The concert is that night, so I'm going to be taking the tube back, and I'm going to be watching the Ravens and the Buffalo Bills at 3 a.m. Monday morning after seeing U2 perform the Joshua Tree, and hopefully Bad, and hopefully a couple of other little ones, just little gems, little Two Hearts Beat As One or something like that. Give it to me, Brick.
You're the best. Talk to you soon. Keep it going.
Love you, Brick. Be well, man.
Thank you. There he is, Nestor Apparat.